Okay, so now we're on our first configuration video. So we've had a look at how VLANs are built, why we need them, and what we're going to do, we're going to jump on to spine 1 and we're going to set two VLANs up, one for VLAN 100 and one for VLAN 200. Reason being is that we've got two sets of machines here at the bottom, so this can be in 100 and this can be in 200, and eventually we're going to do the same 100, 200, and again 100 and 200. That's the idea, so we can actually get traffic moving eventually from our leafs up to our spines and down to either the respective leaf again. So as we know, this is our 3-tier architecture. Okay, so let's get cracking. Let's delete that stuff off the screen. Great stuff. So what we're going to do, we can go to the command line of spine 1 and we'll set that one up first. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do show configuration, scroll to the bottom, and as we can see, the only VLAN we have is the default VLAN, which we know is always present, unless of course, you know, we change the default VLAN to a different ID. Okay, so let's go into configuration mode. Sweet. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do set VLAN, and it's going to ask us for a name, so do a question mark, and it's going to ask for the VLAN name at the top. So we're going to call this customer 1. So customer 1. And then it's going to ask us what VLAN ID we want. So do a question mark, and you see here towards the bottom we have VLAN ID. So we're going to do VLAN ID and we're going to put it into VLAN 100. And we're going to now do the same for customer 2. So again, we're going to do set VLANs, customer 2, VLAN ID 200. Sweet. And let's do a show pipe compare. So when we commit this, we have our customer 1 VLAN in VLAN ID 100, and we have our customer 2 VLAN in VLAN 200. Okay, that's excellent stuff. So we commit this, and let's have a look and see what the VLANs are showing at the moment. It shouldn't show really anything. Let's do run show VLANs. Okay, so we have our customer 1, customer 2, we have our VLAN tags respectively. However, it's showing no interfaces on there. That's because we've not actually assigned any interfaces as either a trunk or an access port to be in any of those VLANs. Now, if you may remember from the lab setup video, which of course our lab looks slightly different again, but only because we have some more servers and some prettier colors, that we had to delete the interfaces because Juniper serialized the interfaces. The reason they do that is they have you know, SFPs that go in there, and they automatically, when they go in, drop the interfaces down into a group of 4, so you can have like a 40 gig SFP and you can have 4 10 gig interfaces on it. So pretty sweet the way that works. However, they've included in the configuration that by default as such, so that's why it had all those interfaces. So because we deleted all the interfaces and then, you know, put a couple in again, the default VLAN of VLAN 1 is not assigned to all the VLAN or all the interfaces by default. You'll come across that. It's one of the little quirks of using virtualization, but hey ho, everything works fine, so that's not a problem. So let's jump on to spine 2 and do the same for spine 2. Sweet, you can see I was deleting interfaces there, so that's fine. So I'm already in configuration mode, so let's do VLANs customer 1 VLAN ID 100, and then set VLANs customer 2 VLAN ID 200, and let's commit. Okay, now even though I've called the VLAN the same name, this is only locally significant. So I could have called this VLAN customer 10 and VLAN ID 100 again if I want. It's not a problem. But the problem is, if you're ever doing any troubleshooting, it's easier to have them all the same VLAN name, because that way it makes it easier if you're going to troubleshoot something, rather than going onto one switch and VLAN ID of 100 is assigned to customer 1 and going on to another switch and VLAN ID of 100 is assigned to customer 10. So the name is locally significant. It's the VLAN ID that's important. Even though throughout your configs you can reference the VLAN via the actual name, that's absolutely fine. But it's the actual VLAN ID that gets tagged on the interfaces. So that's what's important. But for sanity's sake, it's easier to have the customer, the VLAN names like customer 1, customer 2, etc., or whatever you decide to pick, universal and the same across your estate, because at least that way it makes it a lot easier for you. Okay, so there we go. We have our 2 spines done. So let's quickly jump onto our leafs and do the same thing with that. So let's do set interface, no, not interface, set VLANs, customer 1, VLAN ID 100. Now you can just do the up arrow, scroll back, go 200 and 2 if you want. It's lazy, but I like lazy, so sometimes I do that. Commit that. You can actually do a display set. So for example, if we was to go here and edit VLAN and let's do a show, we can see we have our 3 VLANs in there, the one including the default. Let's do a show pipe display set, and now showing us the set commands that we have used to create these. And even though we didn't create the default VLAN, it still shows us the set command that the system used to create that automatically. So I can copy these if I want to. I mean, it's lazy, but again, as I said, we like lazy. And let's jump on to leaf 2 and let's just paste that in. There you go. So we have our set VLANs customer 1, VLAN ID 100, and our set VLANs customer 2, VLAN ID 200. Let's commit that and jump on to leaf 3, and we can do the same thing there. Sweet. That's what we like to see. Absolutely fantastic. So where we're at now is all of our switches have the corresponding VLAN. So we have VLAN 1. Oopsie daisy. Let's get my pen up there. Not that it's really needed because you've seen what's been done. But we have VLAN 100 assigned to customer 1. We have VLAN 200 assigned to customer 2, and we have that applied to every single switch in the topology now. And we even have the same VLANs up here as bridge domains, even though we're not really going to cover that. Well, we might cover that. It's not part of the curriculum, but we might cover that anyway. It's how MX series routers implement VLANs by using bridge domains. Like I said, we may use them at a future date. Normally what we're going to be doing, as we went through on the data center topology, we're going to be running eventually an IP underlay, so we won't really be using the layer 2 for our internet breakout, but we may find a use for the bridge domains, but I added them in there anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do in the next video, we're going to set up our access ports and our trunk ports, and we're going to move along from there. All right, it's been great. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.